Hi, I'm the mainlander, PKA Louie Zee. I don't feel too well, but I'm compelled to persevere, and I'm inspired by positive feedback that people like that I am trying to make the videos insightful and have topic content. So I want to explain stuff. I want to spread knowledge, and I want to gain knowledge. So today, I want to discuss my understanding of three ancient symbols: the sign of the cross, the Pratika, and the Swastika. Now, the sign of the cross we're all familiar with. It's relative to Christianity. It's a human being crucified, executed on a cross painfully. Now, my understanding from the Bible stories is that it's relative to Jesus forgiving the world, and that's relative to him forgiving actually those that were inflicting the pain and torture upon him. And recently, that concept has helped me greatly, and that is what I take from the message. What I receive from the human being executed on the cross is that human, according to Bible stories, forgive those that actually harmed him and inflicted pain, torture upon him, and death, and effectively, symbolically, metaphorically, that's relative to forgiveness, because Jesus didn't only forgive those that literally done it; he forgave the whole world. But what I perceive is that is the message. Jesus is teaching the world how to forgive, because genuine, true forgiveness is a necessary attribute and state of mind, etc., which I am only learning recently to fully understand. It's not an easy thing to actually achieve. Basically, the sign of the cross, two lines meeting in the middle, and relative to Christianity, the human on the cross is relative, but you see a lot of crosses without the human. But basically, for me, the sign of the cross, and I think this is could easily be supported, that I'm pretty sure we'll find evidence that these signs of the cross predating Jesus, BC. So that kind of supports what I'm saying. Is that for me, the sign of the cross, what's more relevant is the 4 points. Now, it won't be hard to associate that with the 4 elements of the earth, or of this realm, this planet: fire, water, earth, and wind. Okay, but that isn't what I want to discuss. That it's relevant to what I'm going to go to later, the swastika and the pratika. That supports my theory. But my theory is that the 4 points of the cross actually could mean a lot of things that are kind of in force. So it's not rocket science. Basically, as with all symbols, they've got many meanings because they're ancient. So you can't just associate one meaning to one symbol. That wouldn't be logical. So basically, I have to refer to the pratika. Now, the pratika is the reverse of the swastika. Now, it's highly logical that they are contemporary. They existed together because they're actually related, obviously. So again, the four can't find the right word to describe them, but the 4 lines of the pratika and the cross, they're blatantly relative. So one of the meanings of the pratika are relative to the 4 F's of the lower human brain. I have to deviate a little bit. So I haven't researched this, but I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven that the human being has three major departments of the brain: the frontal, the mammal, and the reptilian. Now, it's my understanding that different thoughts, different feelings, different emotions are processed in different relative parts of the brain. So, basically, it makes sense that if you are using certain thoughts, emotions, actions more than others, then that specific part of the brain is going to be more active than the other part of the brain. That's pretty simple. So basically, the message in the Pratika and the Swastika, which I'll get to, is, and it's relative to the 4 Fs, that possibly there's probably another 10 relative meanings to any ancient symbol. But what I want to discuss is the 4 Fs, which are actions, emotions, which are relative to our reptilian brain, which is kind of self-explanatory. It's kind of like the most primitive part of our brain. So the 4 Fs are kind of primitive thoughts, emotions, actions. I'm going to be brief because I don't feel well, and not only that, I don't want to bore people, and a lot of this stuff is very complex, so it's better that for both of us that I omit it in installments. Basically, the 4 Fs: feed, which obviously relative to food and the primitive instinct to get hungry and need food. Excuse the nails. Fuck. Pardon my French. Is relative to sex, but I associate it more to kind of like, dare I say, masturbation, and the kind of like porn, masturbation, going that kind of darker side of sex. Flight, which is relative to literally being scared, fear, running. Literally, I associated that to fear. It really ought to be fear, but really ought to be fear rather than flight. I think fear is a more appropriate description. And fight, anger, aggression. Basically, the moral in this lecture is that, and I encourage everybody to go and research this and support it with real scientific evidence. Don't just take my word for it. Yeah, I've made this shit up. Don't believe me. I'm delusional. Anyway, it's relative to the that's actually the swastika. And how you tell the difference is the swastika is a Z if it was in front of you, and the pratika is an S, and that's relative to my creative alter ego title, Louie Zee. So the little I don't know, the little quote, motto, etc. What I've made up is from Z to C. Now, I'll explain the relevance to that in a minute. So basically, it's scientifically proven that these primitive instincts, emotions, feelings, actions are relative to the lower part of our brain, which is at the back here, and it's referred to as the reptilian brain. That's pretty self-explanatory. And basically, what I'm trying to emphasize is that it's not rocket science, that if you use or are influenced to use them instincts, actions, feelings, emotions more than others, then that part of the brain is going to be more active than the other parts of the brain. So my theory has it is, basically, like I said, I'm trying to be brief and not deviate. Basically, I take it a bit further that basically, what I perceive is happening in society is actually people that are overindulging, mainly subconscious. This is highly relative to subconscious, but I don't want to go all weird and mystical. I want to keep things scientific and in layman's terms. Basically, I take it a bit further. What I perceive is happening in society is that subconsciously everyone's influenced, whatever, to utilize that part of the brain, and effectively what's happening is it's shutting down the rest of the brain, and that has a knock-on effect in many ways. But this is a sociological, psychological, even metaphysical. We even go into bloody quantum physics, you know. That this is a complex issue. So I'm going to try and keep it brief. Basically, we in today's society are influenced to use the wrong part of our brain, and effectively it's shutting down our brain. Yeah, I'm going to take that a bit further, but it's highly quite sensitive and controversial, so I'll save that for a minute. So it's relative to the Nazi use of the reverse of the swastika, and for me that explains their intent of their regime and their ethos, you know, their dictatorship, etc. That they wanted to influence society to, how do I articulate this? They wanted to influence society anti-clockwise direction. That's a simple way of putting it, because the swastika kind of represents anti-clockwise movement, where the Pratika, which comes from Buddhist Hindu origins, could even go beyond that. You know, Aryan, who knows? You know, like the sign of the cross is very simple. The Pratika is one mark. You know, it's a very simple symbol also. Basically, that it's my understanding that the Pratika, and which I use it for, is for meditation purposes. An image to direct your meditation and, dare I say, energy flow or direction of thought is an easy way to articulate it, address it, express it. Basically, if you use the Pratika as a meditation symbol and direct your chakra, yeah, let's not get into chakras right now, direct your chakra to move in a clockwise direction, I actually support that. That will give you a better well-being all around. And basically, it's evident with the Nazis, their intent was to do the reverse, to actually put our train of mind of thought, direction of thought, however you want to perceive that, in reverse to the Pratika, anti-clockwise. And now, you know, again, it's quite controversial, but it's blatantly obvious that my perception is that we're actually living in an evolution of the ethos theory, of their intent of reversing the human train of thought, flow of energy within the brain, etc. And we're living in that today, because I can blatantly see, obviously, that all these subconscious influences are influencing people to use the 4Fs. Now, this is what's controversial and why I'm compelled to express this. So if I go missing, probably because of this video, I perceive that there is a form of mass schizophrenic kind of condition in today's society, and it's relative to the reptilian brain, overuse of it, that, you know, I'm sure this is easily proven scientifically that basically, if a human was, conditioned or etc., to just use one part of the brain, and with a combination, I don't want to deviate, with a combination of trauma, stress, etc., that I believe that literally that would kind of form a schizophrenic related condition. So I'll leave it there. Yeah, that's food for thought. I will explain all this in a lot more detail in the future. You know, I intend on writing numerous books, but I want to make the point clear that I only woke up. My perception only kind of, became of the awareness, enlightenment that it is now. It's like 4 years ago. So as blessed as I am, I'm not no expert, but actually, literally, I think we should start. Yeah, admin, I love you, and all the members of Empath Protection Forum and all my Facebook friends. I love everybody, but in particular, a gentleman, very insightful gentleman. I don't know what school he went to, but he's very insightful. Laws Kriegel, I don't even know how to pronounce his second name. He is a very insightful gentleman. He is, I hope so, still admin of Empath Protection Forum. He has numerous pages that he's associated himself personally. And literally, I think we should either start a group or a page or something like Ask Lurs, because Lurs knows stuff. Admin, I love you. Yeah. Peace in the Middle East. I think in the next lecture, I'm going to try to give you my translation and understanding of the Star of David, which is relative to Israel as we know it today, their national flag, symbol, etc. God be with you. Rock on Zeus.